We're going to begin this hour with a story about what's behind those real-life scammers that we're all reading about. You often see them portrayed on the screen getting away with lavish spending, always on someone else's dime. Movies and shows like The Tinder Swindler, really good, and Bad Vegan offer a snapshot into the record-high number of imposter scams sweeping the internet these days. The limited series, Inventing Anna, highlighted a scam perpetrated in real life by a woman in her 20s. Jericka Duncan has this look inside the minds of con artists and how they charm their often very smart victims.
I'd like to cash this check here.
The infamous schemes.
Basically just a big Ponzi scheme.
Manipulations.
This isn't inspiring.
And lies.
We had a special connection.
Have made their way into movie theaters and on TV screens for years.
What's you wearing? You look poor.
Our fascination with con artists is undeniable. But for those who say they have been scammed, it can be devastating.
She was someone I met through friends.
Rachel Deloche Williams was 28 years old when she met Anna Sorokin in 2016. At the time, Sorokin presented herself as a young German heiress named Anna Delvey, who wanted to start an exclusive art foundation in New York.
What was it about her story that led you to believe that she was very well off financially?
She lived full-time in a hotel. She was very cavalier with her spending.
If she had been staying at the Holiday Inn and said, Rachel, come have this continental breakfast with me, do you think you would have been as apt to hang out with her?
Yeah, she picked up the tab sometimes in the hotel, but that wasn't why we were friends. What I was interested in was how big her dreams were, how ambitious she was.
Sorokin invited Williams on a lavish trip to Morocco in 2017.
Let's take a selfie.
It was depicted in the fictional Netflix miniseries Inventing Anna. Williams says the problem started when the posh hotel demanded a working credit card.
These managers came into the villa and said to Anna, basically, like, you guys cannot leave the premise until there's a functioning card on file. And Anna keeps making promises about a wire or about needing to call someone or waiting on calls to be returned. And there was just no alternative.
After putting her own cards down, Williams was charged roughly $62,000. She says Sorokin promised to pay her back, but did not. When Williams eventually went to the police, she learned Sorokin had also targeted hotels and banks.
Take us inside the mind of a con artist.
They don't have the same emotional landscape, right? So they tend to have more callous emotion. They tend to be less empathetic. So reason that you and I don't lie very often is because it feels bad. But for them, it doesn't.
Psychologist Jeff Hancock teaches communications at Stanford.
One of the reasons that they can be such good liars is they can convince themselves of a lot of things. And this kind of self-deception's always scared me because it's like, how can somebody know they're lying and believe themselves?
In 2019, the fake heiress was convicted of grand larceny and theft of services. Williams' allegations were part of the criminal complaint against Sorokin. She was released from prison in February of 2021, but shortly after, immigration and customs officials arrested her for overstaying her visa.
Do you consider yourself a con artist?
Absolutely not.
Last month, Sorokin did an interview from behind bars.
I never intended to permanently harm anybody.
What were your thoughts when you listened to that podcast?
To hear her in her own words really highlights that she feels no remorse. She's really upset that she got caught.
I think it's important when to understand how manipulation happens.
Williams ended up writing a book about her experience. It's published by Gallery Books, part of Paramount, which owns CBS.
Would you want to hear an apology from her at this point? Does it matter?
I have no wish for any engagement as far as Anna's concerned.
What do you want people to know? Is this a story of you got to trust your gut?
You pretty much nailed it. If it's too good to be true, it is. These con artists know what they're doing. They know how to manipulate people, and time pressure is one of them. And that's why I say, when something doesn't feel right, slow down. And if you can't slow down, then there's definitely something wrong.
For CBS Mornings, Jericka Duncan, New York.
Anna Sorokin was acquitted of stealing from Rachel Williams. Williams told us that Sorokin did pay her back $5,000. An attorney for Sorokin declined our request for an interview. So she got back the $5,000, guys, but it was over $62,000.
That's a pretty big loss.
A huge loss.
That's a pretty big loss. I don't like calling it the art of the con because it sounds like it's charming, like it's just Steve Martin lifting you out of the drink tab. I mean, it's a big financial burden. I mean, would you rather get punched in the head and lose $20 or be conned by an artist out of $62,000?
And the other thing that I'm fascinated by is the psychology. I'm fascinated by the psychology of all this, and that's why I'm glad Jericka did this piece, because there are two lines in her story that stuck out to me. One is when Rachel says, I was interested in how big her dreams are and how ambitious she was, and the psychologist says, con artists tend to be less empathetic. So you are empathetic to their dreams, to their ambitions, and they are not empathetic to you, so they capitalize
and that's how they will you in. I like when he said, they know they're lying, but they believe it.
That's right.
I'm fascinated by anybody who can do that.